Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Now that the holidays are wrapped up and 2019 is in full swing, it's time to catch up on all the news with regards to the Circle Undone. Since my last video on the subject, we've received a wealth of knowledge about the upcoming deluxe expansion. With exciting new mechanics to explore and newly spoiled player cards to discuss, there's a lot to cover. So without further ado, let's hop right in. With each new expansion, we're given another round of investigators that join the search for the unknown. While we've already discussed Diana, Carolyn, and Rita in previous videos, FFG revealed the other investigators that will be in the Circle Undone as well. Like the Path to Carcosa, the Circle Undone will include 6 investigators, doubling up on the Mystic class. This is the first product to feature 2 investigators in the same class. While I'm going to save going in depth into the new investigator and signature cards for future episodes of the Arkham Horror files, I will provide links in the description if you want to check those out for yourself. This expansion features 2 previously released investigators. Carolyn receiving new art and signature cards. Marie Lambeau, however, did not receive the same treatment. Released in the limited print run Investigators of Arkham book, Marie returns on the Circle Undone alongside Diana as the second Mystic, bearing the same artwork and signature cards. This is great for people who weren't able to get their hands on the book while it was in print, myself included. Joining the ladies for the campaign, we have millionaire Preston Fairmont, and my now new favorite investigator of the LCG, Private Investigator Joe Diamond. Each of these characters brings with them their own unique gameplay style to the LCG. Along with these new investigators, we're also introduced to some of the new player cards coming in the Circle Undone. Sprinkled throughout various articles, we've been given spoilers of upcoming player cards. Survivor cards such as Track Shoes, Able-Bodied, and spoiled by the guise of the Mythos Busters, Act of Desperation, interact with items or have bonuses with the fewer amounts of items you are carrying. Speaking of items, Seekers are given a new tool in the Fingerprint Kit, giving them ways of discovering additional clues. Money Talks allows rogues to be able to turn a skill test into a resource test. Mystics are practiced in prophecy, giving them bonus skill icons the more Doom is in play. Unfortunately for Guardians, we have yet to see any spoilers for their class, but with Carolyn being the featured investigator of the faction, I think it's safe to assume she'll be given new ways to heal horror from her teammates. Wait, actually, that's a lie. We were given 1 new Guardian class from this expansion to look at. In the initial article revealing the Circle Undone, FFG subtly gave us a glimpse into a cycle of new player cards. The Moon number 18, we now know is one of many tarot cards introduced in this expansion. Along with the new trait, these cards also take up a new slot on your investigator. In the Circle Undone, each faction has a unique tarot card that plays to the primary strength of that class. These 1 experience, 3 cost assets give a static boost to a stat, or in the case of the Survivor class, give a buff to your health and sanity. Along with this passive bonus, these tarot cards also bear a reaction ability that allows you to play them when the game begins, without having to spend an action or resources. While certainly not going to be the crux on which a new deck archetype is formed, these cards are solid purchases if you find yourself with spare experience in a campaign. Sporting the same experience and resource cost, along with a similar reaction ability to the faction-specific tarot cards, Ace of Rods, the Fateful Step, has a fast action that reads, during your turn, remove Ace of Rods from the game. You may take an additional action this turn, during which you get +2 to each of your skills. If this card is in your opening hand, it's basically a free action with a buff at the expense of a card. It can be very useful, especially in solo play, where action economy is so critical to success. If having to spend an action and resources to play it naturally, you're essentially trading an action now for a better action later. This can be useful depending on the scenario or investigator you're playing. There can be times where you find yourself prepping for a tough fight, or clearing off excess clues from a location for extra victory points, and can afford to play a card like this. I like this card more in multiplayer than I do in solo play. Having it in your opening hand is great, but drawing this late into a scenario can be moot. With the good, however, must come the bad. And along with these new tarot assets comes a new basic weakness, the Tower. Number 16, Circumstances Beyond Your Control. Costing 4 resources, this card bears the Omen and Tarot traits, and takes up the tarot slot. The Tower's game text reads, you cannot commit cards to skill tests while the Tower number 16 is in your hand. If the Tower number 16 is drawn in your opening hand, before or after you mulligan, you cannot replace it. It must stay in your opening hand. It's important to note that you build your investigator deck before drawing your random basic weakness, so you can attempt to compensate for this weakness when deck building. The tower robs the investigator of an action, 4 resources, and access to their tarot slot. When compared to other weaknesses, this isn't so bad. While it can suck to draw if you're engaged with an enemy or don't have the resources to pay for it, I'd rather deal with this than have Overzealous in my deck. That card haunts my nightmares. Speaking of haunting, what's a good ghost story without a haunted house? Investigating Arkham in the Circle Undone brings with it a new set of challenges. Introduced in this expansion, the haunted keyword punishes each failed investigation attempt by forcing the player to resolve the location's haunted ability. For example, if you fail to investigate the master bedroom, you must instead drop one of your clues on that location. For investigators poorly suited for discovering clues, this mechanic will bring endless suffering upon them. Additionally, Flashlight needed another reason to be a great card to include in your deck. While these haunted locations are treacherous in their own right, the Circle Undone packs the encounter deck with cards that interact with location's haunted abilities. For example, if you're being hunted down by a Shadow Hound, the Spectral Beast forces you to resolve each haunted ability on your location when it attacks. In a similar fashion, various treachery cards such as Shapes in the Mist mirror this effect, forcing you to resolve each haunted ability on your location, while also having Surge. Because of course it has Surge. As a new coven of witches arrive in Arkham, so too does a strange eldritch power. From the lofty High Priestess to the lowly Coven Initiate, all have the power, should the stars align, to implant powerful hexes upon those who stand in their way. Whether racked or bedeviled, dispelling these hexes requires testing one's willpower, or successfully evading a witch enemy. Considering by many to be the weakest stat in the game, being able to use the agility stat to get rid of these threats is a boon to investigators like Finn or Rita. While it may cost an action to evade the enemy, then an additional action to remove the hex itself, with a meager 2 evade, the Coven Initiate can easily be distracted from her spellcasting, and without the hunted keyword, isn't going to actively pursue an investigator. This to me is a slam dunk from a game design perspective, a subtle yet unique method of rewarding evasion. As the investigators uncover centuries of secrets, they seem to notice a common theme among the encounter sets presented thus far. Expanding on mechanics presented in encounter sets from the Dunwich Legacy, this expansion takes the idea of depleting cards from a particular deck and expands upon that initial concept. Discarding cards from the encounter deck in most scenarios simply means you'll be reshuffling the discard pile back into the deck sooner. Discovering Arkham's evil past, however, will turn this normally trivial event into a horrifying endeavor. Will the investigators redeem Arkham of its sins, or will the city be forever doomed? With the disappearance of 4 people from the charity event at the Silver Twilight Lodge, the investigators will have to delve into a world of the unknown. Will they take up arms against the mysterious coven, or will the investigators file into the ranks of the secret society? The choice is up to you. What do you think of the Circle Undone? Which investigators are you most eager to try out? I've got a hunch on which one mine is. Are you going to be playing with Fate and including tarot cards in your decks? Do you love the Surge keyword as much as I do? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay up to date when my videos go live, hit that subscribe button to become one of the many who are lost in time and space. Thank you as always for watching, and have a great day.